Hi, Penny here. So today I've got an art journal page for you that celebrates Valentine's Day a little bit. And I know that this can be a holiday that can be either one that you love or you hate. And it may just be the season you are in your life right now. This is my first Valentine's Day without my husband who passed last year, and maybe you're having something similar. But just remember it's a season, and in all seasons, no matter where we are, what age we are, women, we can do a better job of practicing self-care and self-love. So that's what I hope you get to today. I hope you'll like this page. If you're not comfortable yet with figures and faces, this is a great way to start. It's a very folk art page, and I just love folk art. And I hope you'll enjoy this today too. Please subscribe to my channel. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And please feel free to comment. I'm always interested in listening to what you have to say, questions you have, maybe ideas you have for future videos, whatever I can do to help you embrace this medium. To me, art journaling is therapy. We stop playing. I don't know what grade. We stop thinking of ourselves as artists and we stop playing with those crayons and coloring books. It's sad. It is really sad. Because as we get older and we have more responsibilities and more stress in our lives, and face it, everyone has it, the more we need something creative in our life. And that's what art journaling does for me. I can sit down and just get my fingers all messy and in paint and glue, and I don't have to create a masterpiece. I can just have fun. And that's what I hope you'll be for you as well. So today I'm just starting on the right side of my page, and I don't think I'm going to do a 2-page spread today. I'm just penciling in very loosely the figure that I want to draw. I'm aiming towards a more folk art feel to this page. So now I'm getting out several palettes of art watercolors. These are Jane Davenport's colors. I have 3 sets of them. After I get started here, I realize that I'm really only using from the neutral set and I believe it's called Sea Glitz set, which is the one on top there that's new, as you can see. And it has beautiful colors in it. So that's where I start. I'm just putting in my background. I have a little spritzer that I spritz the page with so that I got the whole thing wet. So as soon as I start putting on the color, it begins to just bleed into the page and run and do its wonderful watercolor thing. So I don't want anything solid. There's going to be white spaces. I want to move the color and fade it out to the edges, but I'm going to put about 3 colors on this background for this page. Now, as I get close to the figure, a lot of times I will darken it a little bit. The yellow in this set is beautiful. It has just a very tiny sheen to it that I like, a little pearlescence maybe, and so I'm using that and just running over the previous color I had put on and bleeding it out. And now I'm going into this more olive green color in this palette and doing the same thing. Again, I'm being careful when I get to the spine of my page. I don't want a whole lot of water standing around that spine. So if I get too close to the spine and I've got too much water on my brush, I will stop and take a paper towel and blot some of that, as you see there, because I don't want to have that standing in there. It will just break down my spine before I can even get to the end of my book. I love this neutral set. It has a lot of wonderful colors in it that can do for a number of different flesh tones, and it allows me to get darker with it, and I like that. So I'm starting off with the lightest color in that palette, but then I'm going to darken it up as I get around the edges to give it some depth to the figure. Now I'm adding in the first layer for the hair. And when you're doing watercolors, you're doing in layers. So you start with your lightest and you build to your darkest. And you don't cover everything that you've done before, and that's what gives you the different grades and depths to your painting. Now I just brought in a piece of tissue paper and I want to create a dress out of book pages text. So I've cut both the bottom and top part of the dress out. And now I'm going to work on the background a little bit more and create some more interest in the background. Now I want to use my soft gel matte medium to put down my dress pieces. And I love this type of medium rather than glue or glue stick because I can put a thin layer on. It lets the paper adhere and it's not going to come off. And then I can put a wash layer over the top of it. And that makes a really nice surface to do other things with, as you'll see towards the end. So I stick them down. I use my trusty credit card to smooth out the edges. That's what I'm grabbing now. I have an alphabet stamp, and I'm going to use black ink to, again, add a little bit more interest to the background. But I don't want to use the same color ink that I used on the swirls because it just would be flat. It wouldn't give enough interest. So this is a very airy stamp with thin lines, so black is not going to overpower my image at all. And I just use a piece of scrap to cover over the figure that I have so that I can stamp right up close to it. Here I'm using some Neocolor crayons to just give a little bit of color to her dress. I don't want a whole lot at this stage. And the beautiful thing about these crayons is that they're water soluble. So I can take a paintbrush, dip it in water, and I can move that color around. So I have smoothed that color out. But then I'm going to take some gesso next because I want to take down a little bit of the print in the dress, but yet still allow you to see through it. So I start with a damp brush and I just dip it into my white gesso, working out some of the paint from the brush before I start on the figure. Here I'm using a really pretty golden brown color. It's made by the company Goldens, and I will link in the description at the bottom the actual name of it. But it is a beautiful color, and I use the white gesso with it to blend and fade that color into her dress. So again, just gives it some dimension. And you just blend, blend, blend so that it's a nice smooth transition from the shadows of the sides of her dress to the front. And that's what keeps it from looking like a flat figure. So as you can see, I just continue to blend. Sometimes I use my brush, sometimes I use my finger. I like to play. I think it's the fun thing about working in your art journals. It's just for you. It just lets you try out some things. There are products that I haven't used in a long time, and I'll bring them back in my art journal just to see what they will do. And I don't have to worry about whether anybody likes it or whether it's going to stand the test of 50 years or 100 years or whatever, because it's just for me. It's just for me to have fun. And with her hair, I'm starting with a little bit of that dark brown Neocolor because she's going to be sort of a salt and pepper haired girl. So I'm going to have that darker color that's showing towards the back of her hair that you can see around her neck and kind of behind her head. Again, layers. So I started with that lighter taupe layer. Now I'm putting in a little bit of the brown, but I'm not completely obliterating my first layer. And this was what gives it depth. I'll try that, and now I want to go put in some of the gray. So I will start with just the gray. She's going to have curly hair, a little bit like me. So I'll start with just the gray, but now I'm going to add a little bit of white on one side of the brush and gray on the other. So when I twist my brush and make the curls and the swirls, it will grab a little gray and then a little white, then a little gray. And that'll more mimic what really is going on in a salt and pepper hair. Again, I'm leaving some of that brown and some of the taupe. I'm not completely covering over any previous layer. And I'm going to get closer to her face now. I start on the outer edge, but now I want to come across her forehead. So she has some wispies. And I've gone and gotten my Jane Davenport acrylic paints in a metallic silver and then another one that's a really pretty pearlescent white. And I've used both of those to add even more highlights to the top of her hair. So she has lots of different shades and dimensions of color in her hair. So now we start on the heart. I cut out the heart earlier, traced and cut it out. So I'm now putting that right back on here. And I use the Jane Davenport red. It's a really pretty cherry red color that I really like here. It just gives this bright pop to this very antique-y looking page. Then I take that golden brown color that I used earlier to outline her dress, and I'm mixing it with the red to go around the edges. But I want even a little bit more depth, so I take Jane Davenport's dark brown color and I go around the outside edge and blend it in. And then a little white just to add a little highlight to one side. Now the best way when you're using pearlescence and glitter is to move your book around and your light source so that you can see if you've gotten more in one place than another. So that's what I'm going back and adding some more highlight to her. Making your pen wiggle just the right amount and stop where you want to is the biggest challenge for me on this curly hairstyle. But it's so much fun. And then to finish this page up and continue in this kind of vintage, antique-y folk art feel, I'm using a dark brown pastel pencil and I'm running it along the edges and using a stiff paintbrush to blend it in. And then I decide I want to go around my figure with that same dark to make her stand out even more. This was just a fun page for me to create in a style that I haven't done a whole lot of, but I really, truly enjoy it. So thank you for joining me on this folk art Valentine inspired page. I do my videos to teach because I think there are a lot of people out there that are just getting started or are wondering about art journaling to begin with. So if you would like to see more, hit the little bell under the description below and be sure to subscribe, and then you'll be notified when my next video comes out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.